the chat box, we put the link to the agenda, and this is also where we'll take notes. We're recording this, so we can send out the recording and the link to this document because it does contain a ton of links with some very useful information. We are going to start with something fun and informational, I hope. If you notice, you can go to slido.com or just click on the picture and enter 61449. We have 3 quick little polls up here. You want to go ahead and start doing those. The first one, what do you think about when we say low-tech distance learning?
Susan is saying she doesn't see the link in the agenda.
Let's see, it is in the chat. Angela, could you put it in there? I know I put it in earlier.
It's there.
Let's see, I can go to, let's see.
So I think you only see what has been put in the chat since you joined. And so that might be why I don't see it. I don't think you see the previous chat. I'm not sure, but I can't.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
I don't see it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to try to post it. Let's see.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There it is. See it? Okay.
While that's up, if you'll just go to the poll. I hope you can see the screen with the poll on it. I like that old school.
Sorry, I can't spell. That's me that cannot spell or prove.
Yeah.
I hate it when I hit send and then see it.
Limited access. Wow, it's like Laura Ingalls Wilder. Wow. Yeah, if I was to put something on here, the first thing I think of is correspondence classes. The packets would get mailed to students, and yeah, that even at the beginning of distance learning in adult ed in 2007, that was something that was talked about, and we find ourselves kind of having to go back to something similar. Okay, let's look at the next one. So how comfortable are you in incorporating just the traditional distance learning? You know, Khan Academy, any of those educational websites that track the time. You can do reporting, give your students a password and go.
Can you guys see me? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
I'm faded.
Now we can.
Well, daughter.
Adrian, I think another piece of this question is how comfortable do we think they are?
Yeah.
Because I can be as comfortable as I'll get out, but if they're not as comfortable,
Right.
then it doesn't matter. That's my biggest concern.
Word. Yeah, good follow-up question. Well, this follow-up question really just has to do with how comfortable you are in including low tech in your classroom, now that we seem to be in that position. Okay, so if we go back to the other poll, we're a little bit higher there. Okay, so I'm mixed on this. So that's what we're going to do today. Hopefully you can see the screen. We're back to the agenda. We've incorporated some links and resources in here that we'll go through with you, and then we'll, as we get to each of the different segments, I mean, feel free to comment or unmute yourself to ask a question, but I have some red items in here, and that's to kind of get some ideas generated as to what you're doing, what you think you could do in those certain areas. So the first link on here is especially for the new teachers, just what is distance learning in adult ed? If you need to share this sometimes with new staff coming on board, this is a document from the NRS. It pretty much gives those definitions that you should be used to by now, the clock time, teacher verification, and learner mastery model. So that's pretty much reasoning why we do what we do in distance learning now and have to count our hours a certain way, which Sheila will talk about in a second. Now for Work Ready U, if you remember, we had an old request form that you fill out. Well, now it's been turned into an electronic form, which is a much easier process. Let me show you the form. So if you are, I'll show you the list of things that have already been approved. But if you're thinking of incorporating something that hasn't already been approved by the office, this is the form that you would fill out just so that we could review it and then get back with you. Then once it's approved, we'll add it to the list. And here is our list of some things that have already been approved. So what we're trying to do is list the name of the curriculum, the audience, if that's available. Sometimes something is specifically for ESL learners. Sometimes it's for everyone. Format, virtual, paper, mobile, virtual, and phone, paper and virtual. I just want to be able to give you as much information as you can, especially if it's a new product that you haven't heard of. The distance learning model, whether it's free or there's a fee for it, and then the link to where you can learn more about it, whether it's a book company or it's an actual website where you would have to get a login. This is something that we haven't done yet, but I know that's a couple of other states have done it, and I'd like to borrow it. I think it'll be helpful. Y'all let me know with feedback in the chat. I think it's Texas that has on their chart similar to this, a super user. So if Maryland's program uses Achieve 3000, then I'd love for Maryland to put her name and contact information so that when Susan is interested in Achieve 3000, she'll know, oh, I can contact Maryland. They've used it for a while. You know, that would be a better resource than me just going to a website. So that's kind of the goal. So you'll have all this information in the agenda. You can go back to it. So right now you see it's kind of hard, especially in the age of online, to capture every single thing that is out there, but we're trying. That's why we want to know what you have. Because remember, this distance learning in adult ed started in 2007. And if you remember our old policy, which we're revising, there was a list of about, 12 items. Some were VHS tapes. Some things don't exist anymore. So we're just trying to maintain that comprehensive list. So once you do have something that's been approved and you're using it, want to make sure that you know how to correctly put it in the database. So Sheila, are you still on the line?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Do you want to talk a little bit about capturing this data and putting it in the database correctly?
Sure. You want me to share my screen?
Sure, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am in the database, and as we've gone over in these Zooms, I've showed you about distance learning hours and making sure that we can, we can report them in a database. I'm also going to share a Word document with you with the screen print. There's multiple ways you can do it. You can do distance learning hours as a class, or you can do it as a student. So for example, if you inside, I just picked a student, and let's see, I'm going to go to that student's attendance. So what you can see, I'm not going to enter any hours, but for example, on July 2nd, which was a Thursday, this student earned 3.25 hours. If these hours were distance learning hours, this little radio button here would have been selected, and you would click save at the bottom, hit approve, excuse me. But you also can do the hours from here, and you can do it at the bottom. You can add the hours and do the little checkbox at the bottom. Or when you uploading attendance hours for a particular class, you can do distance learning hours there. So it's multiple different ways you can do it. I'm getting ready to send you all a Word document. I was trying to PDF it right quick so that I could share. It's in the tutorials on the Work Ready U database, but the important thing is if a student is doing distance learning hours that is not brick and mortar classroom, and everything that happened from March 15th until the end of the year, last fiscal year, we told you all to make sure that you coded it as distance learning hours. So we ask you to continue to do that if the student is working online. We were posed with the question on yesterday in regards to students that are working from home online, and then they come in the afternoon or the evening to take a test. Well, those students would be considered maybe like hybrid for that day. But right now in the database, it does not allow you to do that. You either have to be distance learning all day or face to face. So we're working to get it corrected in the database so that you all will be able to distinguish between the hours for a student. So I'm saving because my computer is running slow.
And Sheila, we can link that PDF in this document probably, so everything will be in one place.
Okay, you can link it, and I just shared it to Adrian. Everybody should have gotten it. Did y'all get it? Nope. This thing is I'm having troubles today. It wouldn't link it for whatever reason, but it'll be linked there. But I'm going to pull it up just so you can see it, and it'll show you. Give me a minute. I'm going to stop sharing and sharing again so you all can see it. Are there any questions about the database part of it? Any questions? Okay, new share.
Yeah, so Sheila, how should we enter them now then if they do that?
Well, you see, that's the thing, Mary. Right now, you have to do one or the other. What I would recommend would be what is the majority of the hours. If the majority of the day they were online, if they did 4 hours online, they only came in for an hour test, then I would do them as distance learning until we can if we need to do so, then we can go back and change it. But I would flag them as distance learning because the majority of the hours for that day were online.
Okay, and then
we are working through resolving the issue to allow for different methods of instruction within a day, because we do understand that some are doing online part of the day and then coming for testing or in the afternoon or vice versa. So what you see here is a PDF. I'm gonna send it to Adrian so she can attach it to the document, but it just shows you that you can select a student, and when you go in through the course roster, you select the student, and then it shows you how to add the 2 attendance hours. When you run your reports, you're going to see the DL hours show up, and I'm going to show you another report when I get out of this attachment so you can see. So you'll be able to see the attendance hours, and you hit that little checkbox and make sure you click approved, and then you can go in and see the attendance detail for that particular student marked to enter the hours as the distance learning. And if you look to the far left, you'll see this red box where it tells you on May 6, 2020, this students had 2 hours, they were distance learning hours. So you'll see in distance learning, you'll see the DL appear if the flag was there. So you'll know if it's saved or not. Another thing you can do, I'm gonna stop sharing that screen and go back to the database, and I apologize for flip-flopping. Adrian, tell me how I am on time. If I need to be quiet. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Also, when you're in the database, and we've gone over these reports, but I just like to remind you all, if you go to non-NRS reports, you can, under the attendance hours entered report, it will show you distance learning hours. So if you need a total, you'll see the header, student ID, student name, total hours, and this is by day, and then total distance learning hours. So if you had one of your data entry people to enter hours for 20 students for a particular week, you could go back, and if you knew all of them were online, like right now, if you know that you're not open yet, but your students are still allowed to do some kind of instructional work at home, then you go in and run this report for a particular class or section or date range. You should know that all of the hours should be in that fourth column. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, on the fourth column here, you know they should be in this column right here where I'm trying to highlight it. So that's distance learning hours. And also it will give you a total number of hours here as well. So you could run this report for your teachers and say, okay, go in and check to make sure that these are distance learning hours versus face-to-face hours. So we have them broken out here. And lastly, and then I'm gonna stop, Adrian, so you can get back to your agenda. Under the program and gains report, you can also run, let's see, in your program and gains report, you can run your report based on distance learning hours specifically. You can filter on distance learning alone. So if you run your program and gains, it would tell you how many students were flagged for distance learning that had distance learning hours. So when you look at the attendance hours in those different categories of the EFLs, you'll be able to see which ones were distance learning hours. Are there any questions? Comments? No questions, comments?
Bonnie posted a question in the chat that says, could we do a total of distance learning hours on a Saturday with a weekly total?
Could we do a total of distance learning hours on a Saturday with a weekly total for an individual person, or are you speaking about for a class? Bonnie? She might be muted.
She is. Let me unmute her.
Okay, I can send her a message in the chat right quick.
I'm trying to unmute her. It's not working.
Oh, she doesn't have a mic and camera.
Oh.
Person or
Bonnie, this is Erin. If that's in response to sort of the question that Mary posed, I mean, I guess you could do that. We would like y'all to get to a place where you're entering attendance like closer to the actual day that attendance happened, which I realize that we need to make some adjustments to the database in order to make that happen. So I don't know, maybe reach out to me and Sheila to help you work through that.
I think she responded in the chat.
Yeah.
I was going to do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that and help you work through it.
Thanks, Erin. If y'all have any other questions or run into problems when trying to enter hours, do give me a call. And Adrian's gonna add this that Word doc to her attachment.
I think it's back to you, Adrian. Adrian. Maybe we
She
lost
looks she looks frozen. I don't think she's that still, actually. Unless she's playing like a game with us. I think she's actually frozen.
I'm messaging her.
And ask him a couple more questions about the data.
Sure. Well, um, only if you do it quickly. When Adrian comes, when she unfreezes herself, then we have to jump back on agenda. But you can.
That's fine.
I'm-
Okay, so when we're entering people and they're getting close to 12 hours and we haven't gotten them in yet for a test, there's a box that pops up where you can put something that says, why are you doing this? I didn't know what to put in there.
You would just put your justification why you think. You could say COVID, like if they're getting close to the 12 hours with no assessment you're talking about.
Yes.
Yep, you can say COVID, as a result of COVID, we are not allowed to test, or it's just for documentation purposes. You put your comment there.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong.
Okay.
I'm back. Can y'all hear me now? Got kicked out
Yay.
of my own meeting. So, yeah, I was saying that, TV is one of the possibilities, and I've been posting the weekly LPB schedules for their CCR aligned subjects. You'll see they're color coded, the schedules typically by day. Angela, could you possibly share your screen since I got kicked out? Thanks. Yeah, so they're color coded so you can see the subject and the grade level. A long time ago, we used to rely a lot on PBS Learning Media and some of the information there. It's not exactly low tech, but there are some quick video clips and lesson plans and worksheets to download from there. So, that's a possibility. And when I was looking on the website, I noticed that they do have some upcoming trainings. So I put the links for each of those up there. Now with all of these that we're talking about, since this isn't something that typically, there's not going to be a built-in tracker for all of this. This is where you'll have to get approval by completing that distance learning request form for us. And if you need help in completing that form, just reach out to me. Typically for things like paper packets, the rule is that you pilot it in your classroom or with another student just to see how long it takes that student to complete the work. Like if a unit takes 1 hour of time, then for each unit, you'll assign that student 1 hour. So that brings us to paper packets. Oh, nope, before that, sorry. Do you use any sort of TV shows or educational media sites like Discovery, Discovery.ed or National Geographic? Are y'all currently using any of that now?
It's really more websites. We do use the History Channel, and we use Crash Course, which are kind of like TVs, except they're streamed.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Crash Course.
Okay, so that's something that students could use on their phone.
Yeah,
Easily.
and we use it a lot of times for science and social studies. We have basically prescriptive learning that follows the high set requirements. And
Okay.
so they may read something about a particular history event, but then go to the History Channel and actually watch it too.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Hank Green. Welcome to Crash Course.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
I'll put the, or Aaron, if you want to put the actual link, I'll thanks. Put the link in there for that. So then paper packets, this is something that, again, we talked about the old correspondence school days. So there are two options that we could think of, either the teacher made where you get together and, maybe during this time before classes start again, if you're kind of in a little break, get together and create some things. Somebody does the math, somebody does the language arts, and then figure out a way to distribute that to students. I know early on with this, there was a picture from Avoyelles Parish of Lisa's little basket of packets. I think some other folks talked about doing the kind of drive up where teachers will come out and hand packets to students. And then there's some other packets out there that you can make from some pre-existing materials. Like this is an example from what Achieve 3000 has in terms of students, but I'm sure there's so many others. So what are y'all doing for teacher-made or pre-existing work packets to use with your students? Anybody making packets?
Yeah.
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ready to talk. Somebody else can. It's good.
Some of the some of the worksheets from math drills, I guess not full packets, but worksheets from mathdrills.com. And this is Ava, by the way, at the RCC. And I shoot a picture on my phone and I've texted it to some students. And they copy it in a notebook and they text it back to me and we talk about it. So that's way low tech, I guess.
It is, but a good example, and you'll see we'll talk a little bit about how texting can work with our students. Anybody else?
Yes, I'm Garrison with Community First High School. And what we're doing as a staff, we're sending out packages. The teachers put the packages together and we mail them out for our students. We try to follow up with phone calls weekly, and we have a great success. A lot of times they won't answer the phone calls, maybe because they don't have phones or in a way to contact them or get back. But what happened is we asked them to bring the homework back to the school, and I think we had probably about an 85% show up for homework. So I think that's great.
I use the voice setup on the Google account for my texting and contact with the students. And that works really well.
The Google Voice,
sometimes I call, but most times I'll text.
Yeah, this is Marilyn, and one of the things that we've done, even with like practice tests, is that we'll give it to them in a packet, but then we'll follow it up with a Zoom call or some sort of facilitating kind of thing, so that if they're having problems with it, that we actually kind of facilitate the packet work too. So that's one way that, you know, it kind of is a hybrid in its own right, but it can be more effective than just having them, you know, work through it and hope it's correct and then, you know, correct it or not, whatever. But to try to do it interactively as much as possible, even though they have a paper and pencil item at home.
Right. So they're not feeling that they're left out there, and that's coming up too as some of the best practices for dealing with these low tech environments. One is to certainly do that follow up. Another is to possibly set up set times. You know, if they pick up packets on Mondays, then maybe you do a check-in with them on Fridays, either by text or Zoom or something like that, just so they have a little bit more consistency in their lives during this time, especially since they were so used to coming to classes at a certain time.
So Vita does that where we have packet pickups and then we have scheduled times, like you guys are saying. We have science one day at a particular time. We have math, all 4 levels that we offer another. Okay. It's been very, very helpful.
Oh, good.
They will attend those follow-up meetings much easier and much more efficient. I mean, much more than like the scheduled classes.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Cool. Anybody else have success in this area?
I have a student who is legally blind, so she was having trouble. We tried to get her a computer and she was having trouble with all of that. So I just got her some extra books that we had, and so she was having trouble with division. So we set up a Zoom meeting and tried to show her that way. And then once we were able to have what we're doing, what they're allowing us to do is to make appointments and bring people into the library by appointment only. And so then we also brought her in that way. And that's how we're doing our testing, and to do some one-on-one. And that's how we think we're going to try to continue to do that if we continue to be allowed, is to have people come in one-on-one to do that. But, or she would, you know, I would ask her to send me a picture of whatever she was working on, so then I could kind of walk through with her. Yeah.
No, and that's perfect, Mary. And that actually kind of leads into this next one about using posting somewhere, either via text, and someone else mentioned that they did that earlier, texted a worksheet to students and kind of go back and forth with that using text, using social media. Either, like I said, it could be a video clip with a text group discussion that you do either in a group that you set up, or Facebook, or some other app that you're using. And I know in previous calls, a lot of you have mentioned the WhatsApp, your Facebook groups that you've made specifically for students. Remind. Is there anything else, any other apps or ways that you're actually getting to your students by this means, by kind of posting and dialoguing back and forth via text or messaging?
Adrian, this is Susan. Yeah. I just want to, this is not answering the question you just asked. I'm sorry, but she mentioned that she was working with a student that had some challenges, and we're working with one vision impaired student and one hearing impaired student. And I was just thinking if there was a way that we could connect, if there are other programs that are working with people with those challenges, and we could connect like our people working with that student to their people working with their students, and they could share some ideas surrounding those specific kinds of challenges, that would really be helpful, I think, to our folks.
Okay. No, you're right. If one person's doing something that's working well in that area. No, thanks for bringing that up.
This is Marilyn again. One of the other things we're talking about is like creating a set of recorded, say, middle school math lessons, say 12 to 15 of them, and using them in a Google Classroom or even a Zoom setting, and then following those up with discussion. That way we're not going back, you know, we're not teaching, well, we're not having to recreate the same thing over and over, but have a body of material that's pretty standardized to start with, and then using follow-up for individualization and explanation.
Yeah, and that's another one of the tips in here, is that in the beginning, if you haven't created this content, yes, it could take you a while, but divide and conquer. But then once you have it, you have it, and you can continue using this, especially since we don't know what the world is going to be like in a couple of months or a year from now.
And Adrian,
anybody else? Yeah.
Sorry.
You're seeing some stuff in the chat, Angela?
Yeah, Christy just posted that some of their students purchased the HiSET workbook as an additional resource since they're unable to use them in the classroom. She posted the link in the chat.
Okay.
Says that it's only $10, so.
Okay. And I think I saw maybe Shelly posted something else that they use. Oh, was it Google Hangouts maybe?
I think that was her response to Susan's question about teachers meeting up to talk about students with disabilities. Was she suggested Google Meet?
Oh, okay.
And then Leilani posted there's an ADA workshop tomorrow about disability in virtual settings, and she posted the link.
Oh, thanks for that. Awesome. So anything else on texting, social media, or any sort of apps that you're using?
I use ClassTag.
What is that?
ClassTag.
ClassTag? Okay, what is that?
It is kind of like you can set up a classroom. It allows not only you to communicate with the students, but the students can also communicate with each other.
Perfect.
And you can also upload and like if you scan stuff into your computer, you can upload information. You can upload work. You can upload practice HiSET test. They can pull up from there and answer it and send it back to you. But the cool thing is like when you're trying to get in touch with students, maybe because their phone number has changed or they haven't paid the bill this month, the other students can then contact them, and then they always find a way to get back to me.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned that the students, not only can you communicate with them, but they can communicate with each other in that, because we know that they were so used to that in your classrooms, and they need that to rely on one another and to just have that communication, so they don't feel like it's just the two of you out there in the world, that they actually do have a community.
It's a free app. And you can also, like, so you can put like a actual message board up. They also have things where you can do announcements, like if you're going to announce, like, we're going to have registration tomorrow and Friday. And have you done this? Have you said,
Oh, okay, perfect.
so it has a thing for a bulletin board, it has a thing for a message board, and then also has things where you can go and assign worksheets.
Okay.
Individual students, you can also just message them individually on there. And so you have one that's getting ready to take the science HiSET test and give them extra work on the science. So it's a way to individualize group text and for them to come communicate with you as well as them to communicate with themselves.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. Anybody else?
I wanted to share, Andrea and I are in this cohort where we're working with different things, and one of them is something called Quizlet, and all it is they're just really flashcards, and you can do them on your phone, you can do them online, they're free. And other people created them, have created some. What we're working on is there's a website called Reading Skills for Today that has leveled stories, and they've gone in and changed it to Lexiles just because they felt like that fit better. But we're creating the vocabulary cards that go with those lessons on these Quizlets. But they had other things, because when they were showing it to us, they had like for geometry and, you know, language, like, you know, what are parts of speech. I mean, they have, like, you can just go in there and search and you can find these, they're flashcards that you can.
And then how are y'all assigning those to students?
Well, I haven't done it yet, but
okay.
All you really have to do though is, I think, just get a link. You can create a link, because that's how we're turning in our assignments to them.
Okay.
Is you create a link, and then you can text it to them, and then they just click on the link and they go and they
can go through it.
Yeah. And so I'll let y'all know how it goes, because I was going to assign some students, those specifically, the pronouns. Somebody was having problems with, not pronouns, parts of speech and geometry. But you can just get a shareable link and send it to them, and then they're just flashcards, and you can see them on your phone. You can get them on your phone. Yeah. So,
well, what I think I'm going to do is I'll make a distance learning thread in Basecamp in the different ones that we have, where I'll put all this information. Then, like, Mary, as you go through something new, you can report on that, let us know how it's going. And as people discover new things, we can put that in there.
Yeah, because we're going to do Google Forms, something with Google Forms next week. And then I think after that is a Padlet or something. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's Wakelet, so that you put all of it together on the same.
Wakelet, that's it.
Yeah. And then you can put that into the Google Classroom.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, a couple of other things that have been posted in the chat, Adrian, are from Angela at Fletcher. They're conducting virtual class meetings through Canvas and Microsoft Teams. Those are recorded so that they can be posted in Canvas for later viewing.
That's a really good, and I know, like, even right now in the K-12 system, like, my daughter's doing like a little summer program, and they're doing the same thing, recording. And especially for our adults, we know that they can't always get to it, or they may need to watch you go through something again and again. So if you can record. Go ahead, Angela, sorry.
And then we had a question, what suggestions, this is from Pamela Miller, what suggestions do you have for distance learning students who do not have smartphones?
I think that's where we're going to have to go to the paper and pencil, the packets. Anybody else have any ideas? And TV, that's the only other thing. And again, for those two things, and Pam, if you haven't, I don't remember if you've submitted a form or not, but I can walk you through the process. And Angela and I, when we're reviewing the last sets of forms that were submitted, if your program is going to submit it, go ahead and try to have the supervisor submit all the forms. And if it's for a book series, you can list all of that book series on one form. You know, if it's If it's a score boost, you know, you can list all the subjects. You don't have to necessarily do a form for each subject unless there's something different in the way you're calculating things for students. Anything else, Angela?
And yeah, a couple more. So Susan Neely posted the registration for the ADA webinar is closed.
Oh.
Anyone who was able to attend, please share info on Basecamp.
Yes, please.
She asked how to, whoever talked about wakelet or wavelet, can you clarify that? How do you spell it?
Andrea, Mary, how do you spell it?
It's Wakelet, wake, like wake up, Wakelet. But the flashcards is Quizlet, so like a quiz, but LET on the end. We're going to do Wakelet at the end of this cohort. And then we're doing something with Google Forms next. I'm not sure what, but we're
Google
doing that.
Forms is next. We will be building the forms to go with the stories that we've been assigned, and then this training is through Crowd Ed Learning, and we can share the videos.
Yeah, share that information. Okay.
Still a couple more. Let's see. Christy, let me make sure I hadn't missed something. So Christy posted, we are also using Essential Ed online as our learning management system. And Shelley posted, is there a TV schedule for instructional programs posted in advance that we can send out to students?
So the LPB one here does it. I'd have to see if you go to the LPB website. I think you type in your zip code to get your schedule. But Angela, if you click on in the notes, if you don't mind clicking on LPB TV schedule, you'll see what it looks like. Like I said, I post this usually when it comes out. This is for the full month, I think, but as each week comes up, I usually post it on Facebook.
It's not opening, Adrian. I'm getting a privacy error.
LPB TV schedule?
Yeah. Let me copy and see if I can copy and paste it into.
I'm going to try to join again on the computer.
Yeah, I'm doing crazy stuff. Sorry. While we're waiting on that, Dawn asks, I just admitted you.
Thank you.
Dawn asks, as packets are submitted for approval, can the submitter indicate whether the packet can be shared? If the submitter agrees that the packet can be shared and the packet is approved, can it be placed in a vault similar to what we use for lesson plans? I think we're going to have to think about that one, Dawn. I don't know. Do I need to stop sharing so that you can share, Adrian? Maybe we lost her again. No, there she is.
There I am. Okay, so this is typically what comes out that I share. You'll see it has the link to those, the curriculum files and the lesson plans, and it's color coded by grade level. So you see most of the higher level stuff is at night for our students. So, you know, you could have them watch a lesson, you could post a discussion about it, have them come back and meet with you to talk about some of the things. So I think there are a couple of ideas that we could do, because most, if they have a TV, then chances are they have access to LPB. Let's see where we were. Last couple of things. We've kind of talked about this before, and it seems like y'all are doing this, just creating that routine for our students. And I know that some of you mentioned that, yeah, you do. You one day, I think it was Vita who said one day is science, one day is math, to get that information out. The other thing is to make sure that you do have, you might have virtual office hours. If you're not necessarily saying we're going to meet, you know, every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. That's another idea of some of the best practices that have come out for what we should be doing in this area. And the last thing that I wanted to share is just a couple of resources. I shared this morning on Facebook. The OTAN resource guide. This is California's technology PD hub. And this is their Google Doc that it seems to be that they're updating on a regular basis. So not all of this is low tech, but there are some really good resources on here. So, you know, whether you're trying to build what you're doing or trying to work on digital technology, digital literacy with students or staff, presentations, surveying. Look, there's Padlet. So much information here. I was really excited when I saw that this morning. And then, of course, some online curriculum out there. And something that we always want specific resources for ESL, because that isn't always the first thing that we find when we're looking for distance learning materials.
I do want to go back and address Dawn. We got a couple more things coming into the chat, but I want to go back because now I'm just grasping what Dawn is asking. I was thinking when she meant a student submitted a packet, but
oh, that's, yeah, I was kind of wondering.
When she submitted it, when she submits it for approval is what she means. So as packets are submitted for approval, can the submitter indicate whether the packet can be shared? If the submitter agrees that the packet can be shared and the packet is approved, can it be placed in a vault similar to what we use for lesson plans? So as people are, if they're making teacher-made packets or whatever, I think that's a good idea. So I think we could update the form to ask that question. I'll make it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's all we're gonna have to do is put a space on the form, like I agree to share this with the network, and then we'll just have a hub out there for us to put that and you can share. Good idea.
Stephen, students that are getting ready to take a HiSET test, I use the Union Prep websites. I copy and paste the information to a Word doc and send it to the students. Union Prep, we need to add to our list.
This is Stephen. This is Stephen. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
It's specifically geared towards the HiSET. And it also gives you the breakdown of what percentages will be on the test, and then it shows the students what they need to go by. And it will list some of it's like history, geography. It's like what 30% geography. They break it down in what's specific, and it tells you what words you need to learn. And I wish I could share it and show y'all. I've been searching for a long time, and while this is down, I had time to go over, and I found it. And it breaks each individual subject down that way.
Oh,
and then there's like 3.5 to 4 pages on each one that it gives them exactly what they
need.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Angela.
A few more things in the chat. We set up, Melissa from Central, we set up hybrid classes as an option with scheduled meeting times. Students have an option of coming in a specific time twice a week. And then Sandra Hallman Johnson asked, do we have any material to help students with dyslexia or dysgraphia?
I don't think I have anything specifically listed for that. Anybody out there have anything to share?
No, except if you're using some of the canned kind of programs like Achieve or maybe even
they'll have the read.
Yeah, they may have built-in tools, you know, follow the colors or, you know, enlarge print or those kinds of things. So depending on what you're using, you might find that kind of thing embedded in some of those programs.
Okay. Angela, anything else?
Leilani posted a link for specific disabilities.
Mhm.
And Susan said they use Aztec, so there may be something there.
Okay, okay. So are there any, you see I just listed California, Texas, and then the links discussion group specifically around distance learning. I know that I tend to go to the same states' websites. Are there any states' websites that you've gone to and you'd like to copy something that they've done, or any presentations? I know I post a lot of webinars and I can't attend all of them. Has there been anything that you've seen or heard about that you'd like to try in your classroom, or a resource you want to share with us, even if you don't have the specific link? You know, if it was a links webinar or a co-aid session, we can go back in, pop those links into Basecamp. Especially on co-aid. Did anybody attend anything really cool on distance learning at co-aid? I don't think I attended a distance learning session there.
Ms. Fontenot, I attended some very good sessions through co-aid.
Okay.
The CK12 platform is an awesome resource for
what platform?
CK12.
CK12. Okay.
And there was a co-aid webinar on the CK12.
Okay.
And I have to look at my co-aid agenda to send you the other link, because there is one that talk about how to do onboarding and everything digitally. And there's like a website so that it's mobile friendly.
Oh, good.
I'll find the link and put it in the chat box.
Okay, thanks. If not, then we'll try to find it. It looks like Aaron was going behind me and trying to link everything. So thanks, Aaron.
And there are several people that are posting, especially for students with disabilities websites. So we'll get those out of the chat and put them in the form.
Okay, yes, thanks. So is there anything that you want to try in terms of this low-tech distance learning that you've either heard about today, or that you've had an idea in your mind and you wanted to see if it was a possibility, or something that you did hear about today and you want to start incorporating it? How have you been handling students who don't have access to a phone or the internet? Have you just been doing?
Garrison has his hand up. I'm trying to unmute.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to unmute him, but it's not working. Garrison, can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Yes. Okay. Well, I say 90% of our students do not have access to internet or phones. Normally, if they have a phone, they're using a parent's phone, friend's phone, or along that line. So what we do, like I said, we put together packages, and our teachers do a weekly follow-up with the students, texting them, going over lessons that's been sent out, phone calls if we can get a hold to them. But the most incredible thing that we found out, like I said earlier, was that the students, when we asked them to bring the homework in, it was like 85% of them actually brought it in.
Awesome. Yeah.
Even though they were not answering their phones or responding to some of the texts, but as long as we were sending information out, they were receiving it. They have hope, and by giving them hope, they was following up by actually taking time and doing their work. So we was very excited once they actually brought all the work back in. To be honest with you, I didn't think they were, but they did. So that taught us a lesson along the way.
Yeah.
Just because they're not answering their phones, they're not responding to texts.
They still want to engage and participate in something with you, though. That's
right. Exactly. Yes, ma'am. And I want to let my teachers know they're doing a great job. And also, Ms. Peters, she's over putting the packages together. You know, as a team, we're just working hard. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves we're not here. We have to put ourselves in their position. And, you know, we have to understand just because they're not responding, it may be a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can't hang them, we can't keep them in the same gauge they were while they was in school as they are in this pandemic. So we're very about it.
And thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Angela, anything else from the chat?
Bonnie says they use paper packets. Kathy Peters says we are interested in possibly trying the LPB for our students, especially for math. I see that there is a downloadable workbook. Hope this will help them access additionally math content.
Yeah, I think there's supposed to be lessons and student work for all of that. Like I said, it's content CCR aligned, so should be some good stuff in there. And I am going to participate in the PBS media, one of the sessions that they have coming up, just to see what else they have out there. Anything from the Work Ready Youth staff? Angela, Erin, Sheila, I'm not sure who all else is on the phone.
Nothing else.
I'm interested in Cell Ed. Has anybody used it? I've also had to drop in and out of this meeting, so I don't know if it came up before.
It hasn't come up yet.
It's a program where the student is essentially using their phone either to call in and do like short lessons or to text back and forth to do lessons. And supposedly, you know, technology wise, they could be using a flip phone. So for folks who don't have internet access but do have a phone, it may be helpful. I think it was primarily built for ESL learners, but they do have lessons for non-ESL learners. So I don't know if anybody's used it or if they're interested or seen it.
We do have a couple people with their hands up. Pamela Miller and Garrison Peters. Oh, Garrison doesn't have his hand up. Pam, did you have a question?
I entered something in the chat, and basically it was we would like to incorporate LPV and learning videos using a connection from the Elmo through our laptops in the actual classroom.
Okay.
So thank you for that information.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, just looking at the site, like I said, the PBS learning media, there was a section on women's rights, and you can click on video clips, then download the lessons and worksheets, so neat stuff. Anybody else with their hand up, Angela?
Susan, Neely?
Yeah. So we are trying to, we have a couple programs that we assist with where we were using 910 as a like an entrance thing, like we were assessing their reading level, and obviously well, internal program knowledge, where we were just trying to get a reading level on the students. And that's, you know, obviously that won't work now. So I was just wondering if anybody knew of something mobile friendly that would give us an assessment on their reading level. Now, if they make it past that, they will end up tabing. But, and anyway, it's a long story, but if anybody knows of anything like that that might be mobile friendly, I would appreciate that.
Okay, Angela, anyone else?
No, I don't see any hands up or no new chats.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us. I'll kind of clean up the notes, because talking and typing at the same time isn't, you know, one of my talents. And then we'll put something out there on Basecamp. And so I'd like to have the discussions continue, especially as you try things out. And then at the beginning, we talked about, I showed you our chart with what's already been approved. If you're using some of the curriculum that's already on that chart and you want to be notified as a super user, that doesn't mean we're going to call on you all the time. It's really just so somebody in a neighborhood program, someone next door, one of your colleagues can turn to you and ask questions, you know, about how you like the program and that kind of stuff. Okay. If that's it, we will send out this link and the recording. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Thank
Thank y'all guys very much. It helped a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.
Great.